right, so let's do the 8th Mamer over here in Likutei Torah on Shir Hashirim. And this is still a continuation of the previous Maimorim. And this is the Mamer begins with Biur Hadvarim al Posik Shchoir Ani V'Nova, to explain these matters of Shchoir Ani V'Nova. So he starts off like this: Hine bein hamatzil l'ne'etzolim tzorich liyos b'chinas memutza. Between the Creator, between Hashem, the one who is Maitzil, and those who are Netzal, there needs to be needs to be a level in between. It can't go directly from the Maitzil to Netzolim. And why does it need to be? And there is Mishum the Lav Bei Mikol Inon Midas Klal. Because in Bei, in Hashem, in the Maitzil, we don't have none of the Midos at all. There's no Midos in the Maitzil, so it can't come from the Maitzil into Atzilus, into the Spheres. Ba'afilu b'ha'eser Spheres, even when we talk about the 10 Spheres of Atzilus, Mashenikra a Spheras Chochma. So he said, but we do find the names of Atzilus, the Spheres, the Midos. Why do we say that by Hashem there is no Midos, but Atzilus does have, we know we have this 10 Spheres, Chochma, Bin Adaz, etc. So even in the 10 Spheres, Mashenikra Spheras Chochma, that which we call the Sphere of Chochma, Hainu Hakli Hamagbil, the Eser Spheres, Nikra B'Shem Chochma. It is the vessel that limits the light that is called Chochma. Not the light itself, but rather the vessel that limits the light. V'chein b'Bina, the same thing is true by Bina. It's the vessel of Bina that limits the level of Bina, not the oir of Bina. And the same thing is v'chesed. So by all the spheres, it's not a limitation in the oir, but rather the limitation is the keli. Avol etzem ha'oir, but the oir itself, lo yishayich likroisei b'shem chochma. It does not apply to call it chochma. Rak, we can only call it oir hamahave spheres chochma. It's a light that creates chochma, but is not chochma itself. The oir is not chochma. The oir is the light that creates chochma. Now, so what is the oir? The oir hurak ziv ha'ore ma'atzmus ha'maitzl. The oir is merely a ray and a shine from the essence of the maitzil. A ray meaning it's not invested. It's a reflection from the essence of the maitzil. It impacts nothing. It impacts no change in the essence and mehus of the maitzil. And that's why we say, Ani Havaya Loi Shanisi Kamoi Koidam Shanivru Koloilumas. I, Hashem, did not change just like before the world was created, because it is merely a reflection of Hashem. It's not investment of Hashem. And just like before the world was created. And in the oil, there is no Hagbolah. It's going to be now some deep inyonim from the Chassidus in these ideas And these inyonim are explained a lot in also in the Tzemach Tzedek and Amonas Alakus in different places. But Alter Rebbe goes in pretty deep, as usually in the Biur, more up in Kabbalah and up or taking apart these subjects. It's a very long Mamer as well. With this idea explaining that it's an oir, it's merely a ray, we can answer the questions of the philosophers. Now, these philosophers, we're talking about Jewish from rabbis, the great philosophers, but yet they're philosophers that investigated and tried to figure out the relationship from Hashem with the worlds, etc. So the question is, Eich kol hatoyarim ein po'alim shum shinui ba'atzmus. How is it that all these descriptions that we describe Hashem do not impact any change in the essence of Hashem? And the answer is, Ke'enam shaychim klal leha'atzmus. Because they really don't have any connection to the atzmus. All these descriptions, the Rebbe said it here in one word, all these description, all these limitation is in the kelim of Atzilus. But in the oiris, which are merely a reflection, over there is no limitation, and therefore there's no change. So he explains, what it means to say, when it says in the Torah, for example, V'tachas raglov chulu, talks about feet under Hashem's feet. Or there's a pasuk that says kisubim about the luches, that they were kisubim be'etzba elikim chulu. They were written with Hashem's finger, talk about a finger of Hashem. Or the pasuk talks about Einei Hashem, the eyes of Hashem. Or the pasuk talks about Hashem, the ears of Hashem. Ukvar herich bazeh bepardes shar chobeis perik aleph already went into great length about this in the pardes shar chobeis perik aleph v'ashaloh b'hagdoma af yud aleph and Yud Gimel and Yud Aled Ein Shom Shebiru Ha'inyan El Nochin. They explained this properly, all these things that we refer to Hashem in a physical way, what it means. Ach im kol zeh, but while they explained all this, Einoi Shayich Rag Be'eser Sfiris. That only applies when we talk about the Eser Sfiris. Same thing when we describe emotions, kimoy, as for example, rachum, compassionate, anoikim, revenge, chulu. Now, of course, these are not even compared to what we look at compassion or revenge. But even in the level of the kelim, it's not by the oil, not by the atzmus. Av shebe'emes hamidus elyonis. Einom klal mi'i ein v'sug hamidus shenivroim. These supreme midas are not at all from the same, not of and the categories of the midas of nivroim. It's a whole different set of midas. Even those midas don't apply to Hashem, but it's not the same midas that we have. Mamer hatikuni zoyar, as the saying in the tikuni zoyar, kulo le'achzo eich misnaik alma. They are all to see how to lead the world about the Eser Sfiros. Avolav mikol ile midas klal. But he is not from midas at all. So even this higher level of midas, which is not like our midas, is not in the oir, it's only in the kelim. Ba'ayin b'sefer shel beiranim, perik beis b'hagoh, v'chelik beis, perik tes b'hagoh. Ba'afal pikein. And yet, so what is this? Something else? They're not Hashem's. So who's the one that is taking revenge? Who's the one that's compassionate? Not Hashem, because you're saying Hashem doesn't have any midas. So who is the compassionate? Still, while it's the kelim and not the atzmus, misyaches kol ze lo yizbarich mamish. This relates and associated to Hashem. So who atzmo yizbarich mamish, harachamon v'hachazdon oyanoikim, that he actually is the compassionate, is the kind one, or the one that takes revenge. Ayidei hislapshus ha'oir shehu yizbarich meir mimenu, by the light that he blesses, sets forth to shine from him b'hakelim, into the kelim, lachayosum, to vitalize them. And this oir v'ha'oir misyached imohem, and that light unites with them, because the ihu v'garmo yichad mamish, because Hashem and the kelim become one. So an oir of Hashem dresses up in the kelim. That's why it relates to Hashem. And still, ein ze poyel shum shinui v'yispayel b'atzmus yizbarich. Still, it does not bring about any change or any excitement in his essence, in his blessed essence. Kigam ha'oir mislabish be'eses sfiras, because also this light that dresses up in the eses sfiras, urak ki inyan ziv v'ha'ore lebad. That is only a ray and a shine alone. It's not invested the essence, it's like a reflection. Avol atzmusu yizbarech, but the essence, kodesh umuvdal. It's holy, separated, meaning it's distinct. It's not dressed up. And the einoi kidimyon haneshama shi atzma mislabeshes beguf chulu. It is not the same as the soul that dresses up in the guf. Over there, the soul invests itself in the guf, as opposed to the oir that comes down into the kelim. It's not invested, it's just like a reflection. That oir that dresses out. So it's misyaches, that the Eibishter is the chazdan, the noikim, etc. But it does not poil any change in him.